All right, this is Adam with Roof It Forward doing a quick video roof inspection here with Tyler. Just wanted to get a couple things on video here for the sake of the homeowner being able to see what's happening up here. So this is pretty consistent of what I'm seeing all throughout the roof in little spots. Seeing significant cracks, some evidence of sliding out, some chatter. So I'm gonna explain what all these are here in this video. This is actually a pretty good area to explain it. So a couple conditions that are happening up here. So first and foremost, the roof of the age of the roof is pretty old, which is why you're actually looking at a barrel. This is what we call a Capistrano tile, kind of an S curve to it, but it's losing a lot of its color saturation, and what you're starting to see is actually the cement in which that coloration was put on. So you're looking at a lot of the colors starting to wash off, and you're actually starting to see some of the granulate that's inside of it. And what's happening is these are getting weaker pretty much every time it rains. So water will tend to leach minerals out of concrete. You typically see this in a building setting where it has that white discharge called efflorescence. And basically it's just where it starts robbing the calcium and takes all the lime out of the concrete, which is basically the adhesive properties of that. So because it's weakening, you're starting to get things like this, where when the wind comes through, it moves it around and start, just like when you're shivering and your teeth chatter, that's what happens to these. And then you start getting these little cracks all throughout the surface area of the roof itself. So that is an ongoing issue here, something you're dealing with. But sometimes it happens even more so. So you'll see it happen with the ridge caps. So you'll see ridge caps with cracks in them from just being pulled around, things like that. You're also going to see some slide outs. And I'm going to show you some of those as well. But you can see what happens is these are being held on by a screw, and there was a screw that was sitting on the slope over there. So I figured I'd show that to you. That's how these things are being held together. It's just a screw like that. Sometimes there's not even two, there's just one. So what happens is they sit and just chatter on that screw, and you can see they'll start to break off and start to slide out. So they're actually, the setting that they're in, they're no longer sitting in there, and they're quite mobile. They can move around, but that's not good, because that means that what's going to end up happening is you're not relying on the tile as a water shedding system anymore. You're basically counting on the underlayment, which these things, with the excessive heat that it's seen over the years, a lot of the time that stuff just starts to diminish underneath it. It gets so hot. Now they make a totally different kind of underlayment system. It's like a high temp. So that really does help out. Now, there is the advent that you've had some hailstorms here. And the reason that I know that is you can see all of the dings that are in that soft metal. And that tells me that you've had hail strikes. So some of this damage might have even been caused by a hailstorm that might have come through. But you got a lot of the cracking tiles. And there's a couple over there. I did mark them all. We've got a bunch of photos put together. And you've got this pretty large slide out that's happening over here. So there's definitely a lot to see here. It's pretty extensive all throughout the roof. Now this is, if this roof is in fact from the late 90s, the chances of getting this repaired, finding something similar to it, is going to be very, very slim. Because you can see all of the cracks and stuff that are in it. What happens is basically they have a cast for these kind of things, which the casts eventually expire because from getting heated and cooled over the years. You can see more. This one's kind of out of place, and then you've got some more denting to the soft metal there. But basically what happens is they retire those casts because they can no longer use them. They stop fitting like with the older stuff. So if they got a mold and they get to year 10, that mold is not going to be the same fit as the mold from year 1. So they expire them roughly about every 10 years. So we use a program called iTell that can tell us when this tile was manufactured and tell us if it's still in being made, but very, very likely that it's not. So when we have situations where it's this much damage, if we do go through the insurance claim, typically they end up paying for a full replacement because, you know, it's impossible to match it. We don't even know if they're going to have the screws in the same places. So, and ultimately when you're doing a tile repair, you're pulling them out, you're breaking that screw off, plugging that screw hole, and you're basically just gluing another tile back in place. So realistically, it's not like it's a solid repair. It's not as an assured repair as if you were to do on a shingle roof, because that you're replacing something fully, you're putting a brand new tile in, nailing it down so it's secured. With these, there's really not, the only security you're getting is the glue that's holding that piece in place. And most of the time, if you get a good windstorm, they come out of place. You know, after a couple years, that adhesive breaks down. So it's not a great idea. I mean, you can see examples of this all throughout the roof where you've got some other repairs that were done, and you can see how it was managed, right? You still got some damage around there. It's just, it's not a great look, and that's pretty much what you're, if they're taking a piece, like a cracked piece, and putting in place, there's just this putty that they use as an adhesive property. Most of the time, they'll take the whole piece out and slide it back in, but these grooves have to line up. Sometimes they don't line up. Where the screw holes, where those are, they have to line up. Sometimes those don't line up. So it becomes, when you're talking about a tile this old, it becomes a large issue with repairing something this scale. But the chatter and the cracked tiles, pretty commonplace. It's all over the roof. There's enough here for us to at least be talking about a potential claim, but we'll get down and talk a little bit more about it. But I just wanted you to see what we're looking at. And this is Adam with Roof It Forward.